What's going on, gang, and welcome back to another episode of Scared of Normal. I'm Mike Murphy, and today we're in beautiful Austin, Texas on location at Empire BMX.
In the woods.
In the woods at Empire BMX. How crazy is that? Today's guest is an innovator, a professional BMX rider, an entrepreneur, and an all-around dope human. We're stoked to welcome Aaron Ross to Scared of Normal. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy day, dude.
Oh, man. Thank you very much. No, I'm excited. I can't say no. I'm not good at that.
Dude,
Adam was like, you try this? And I was like, I literally don't have time for this, but like, yeah, I'll be there.
Dude, I know last night, actually, so we flew in this morning at 3 a.m. So we've been up since, or we got up at 3 a.m., just got here, came straight here to do this. And last night I text Adam and I was like, hey, dude, is he down? Like, I need to be prepared if so. So like, yeah, it was just such a last minute thing and I appreciate it, dude. Yep. So yeah, well, for the people who don't know who you are, how would you describe yourself in a short little summary? But before that, we'd like to take a moment to thank our friends over at Burn Slow for allowing us to make this episode happen. At Traction, we're very fond of Burn Slow and all the dope things that they have going on. In fact, just last year, we were fortunate enough to be able to put together a collection with them that was called Roasted. And to date, it's still one of my most favorite collaborations that we've been fortunate enough to do. Based in Austin, Texas, Burn Slow thoughtfully designs and creates entertaining products with collections containing various curated items, from graphic t-shirts to off-the-wall novelty pencil sharpeners. In fact, today I'm rocking one of their hoodies, and I'm not going to lie, it is like -10 degrees here in Colorado right now, and I'm staying nice and warm, and I am comfy as hell. So do yourself a favor and go pick up some gear from Burn Slow's recent winter drop by visiting the link in this episode's description or by going to www.burnslow.co. Thanks again to Burn Slow for the love, and now back to the episode.
Oh, man. I don't know. I've gotten pretty good at this point. If you don't have any involvement in BMX, I tell people I work in the bike industry.
There you go.
It depends on where I think the conversation with whoever I'm talking to needs to go. Like if I feel like they need to know about this or that, I kind of do a good job of like, hey, like this is what I do, and like how can we, how can that work together with us? Anyways, but for you, I'm gonna tell you it all.
All right.
My name is Aaron. I'm originally from Corpus Christi, Texas, which is like 3 hours south of here. I've lived in Austin for 17 years.
Wow.
I know it's crazy.
Is that the majority of your life at this point?
No, one more year.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty
Working
crazy.
on it.
Yes, and I guess I've been a professional bike rider for 17 years. Maybe a gray area in there at the beginning, and like with the how you get pay or whatever, but you're on that level of like going on trips or like road fulls or whatever it was. So I mean, been a minute, and still riding bikes a little less, a little tiny bit less. Hopefully next year get back on it pretty hard, and like pretty excited about next year. We've just had like 100 different projects going on, and it's one of those sad priority things where you're like, oh man, if I do this pretty hard for the next year, or like for the last year and a half, 2 years, you could really like get yourself in a good position where like I can ride bikes like normal again, and like, or like what was normal to me. And then on top of that, my wife and I, we do 100 other things. We are involved in food trucks, food businesses. We have a handful of rental houses, a couple Airbnbs. We work with the bike shop down here. We do Burn Slow. So, it's like, Adam does Burn Slow, just involved.
You guys got your hands full, man. Yeah.
And like, we're forever looking for other things. Like we are, paying for online classes to learn about this so we can maybe do this. And like, I think it's one of those things, we're just like people that are eager to find an avenue to like not do something normal.
Yeah.
I guess. I guess that's perfect for this podcast.
It works out perfectly, man. So, that's exactly what we're all about, is like being scared of the normal 9 to 5. Like,
it's funny that you say that, because I like, it felt bad saying that 12 years ago, maybe 14 years ago, but 12 years ago, I started to be like, I would openly, like, no joke, tell people like, oh, I'm scared of what's next. And so I'm going to do everything in my power to like bridge the gap. And at the lowest little bit of that, it wasn't that I was trying to find a way to make money so I never had to work again.
Yep.
I was trying to find a way to subsidize what was next so that I could continue kind of doing what I love to do, but also what I'm bringing in would be something I also love to do. And so like, buying houses or buying properties, I felt like hey, at the least I could come back and live in this thing. Maybe it'll pay itself off before I have to. And therefore I get a little bit of a head start to whatever it may be next. And I always called it a bridge, like bridging me from this like make-believe childhood dream to like the real world.
Yep.
And the bridge, BMX made that, kept letting the bridge get longer. And that was the best way I could describe it. Like I kept feeling like, okay, this has got to be at like 30. Oh man, maybe 32. And you're just like, I needed BMX to keep going. Not that that was like why. It was just I needed it to, therefore, so that I could like bridge this gap.
Yeah.
And
just from like income and things like that.
Totally. Yeah. And like and the thing was like there'd be times we were like had zero in the bank, but we also owned a bunch of properties and a bunch of things and like all this stuff where you're like, yeah, like I'm broke. But like you can't say that to someone like, well, you have like multiple houses and like these other things.
It's
like,
hard to wrap your head around that.
Yeah, because like
I don't have any cash.
Yeah,
I'm cash poor,
dude. Literally, and like, but then it's also funny because like BMX doesn't have like a 401k. You don't have like a retirement plan, and not that I was like conscious of that at 20, but I was very understanding of like, hey, whatever's next, we got to like get it ready and like go and like. The first thing I've tried to open a handful of businesses. I tried to open a barbecue truck 12 years ago.
No way.
It was like close, didn't work out.
Was that your first like dipping your toes into like a business venture outside of riding BMX?
Yes. And it was with a good friend of mine. She had worked at like a pretty famous barbecue place in Austin. That was what she wanted to do. And it just sort of didn't work out. Like I got to keep the Airstream from it. Basically we were planning to do it in Austin. Obviously, I wanted to do it in Austin. And then halfway through, she was like, you know what? I want to do it in San Diego. And I was like,
it's a little ways away.
It's a little ways away, which is okay. But I have no pool in San Diego outside of like the literal BMX community.
Sure.
And so I definitely was like a little bummed to not be able to like push. And it just sort of, she got out there. There was a lot of food trucks weren't what they were here. It was a lot harder.
So much more regulation.
It was
just
so
in California
different.
In general.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was so different. So she, we're still friends to this day, but like, she hasn't lived in Austin in that long a time. And anyways, it was just sort of, that was the first attempt, lost a little bit of money, but kind of, it's always been one of those, I don't mind losing money. It hurts. Who wants to do that? But like, I love trying. And like, if there's a good attempt, I'm fine with it.
Yep.
And so that was the first good attempt. And,
I always relate like the losing money in business back to like riding bikes. Cause I'm like, well, when you're learning something new, you're hitting the ground constantly. Right. So I'd prefer to lose money because like that doesn't hurt nearly as bad as hitting the ground. And like you can always figure out a way to make more money.
Yes.
So I love that that's kind of like the approach that you've had. And like, I don't think most people know that was probably the route that you've taken. Yeah. You've failed probably more times than you've succeeded, right? Like
yes.
in opening ventures.
My gosh, yes.
So
we're maybe leveling out at this point,
yeah.
And like it's becoming really some of the things we put all our eggs in. I don't say spread our eggs out, but like the things that we've had a pretty good last few years, and it's been nice to and it puts you in control of making your next decisions. But it was fun to try that, like going through the details and like making food for your friends and like feeling like, okay, we're really doing this. And then it just sort of, her life changed. And like, it sort of, I think she, was in a relationship here and it was time to go. And it was like one of those where I was like, but I wanted the barbecue place.
Dang it. Yeah.
And then that led to me getting involved in another food truck, which we're still part of. And we actually just opened another concept this past week. And like, it's just, you got to try. I've tried a bunch of things and it's just sort of like.
Well, you never know what does work until you know what doesn't work.
Yes,
right. And like, that's like the hardest part about anything in life, I think, is just that trial and error of like, and not being scared to fail. Yeah. Like that's the most important thing.
I think for me, and I've said this a bunch of times, and this is, maybe it's wrong, but doesn't feel wrong. I've always said it was easy for me to try, like so easy. And, I think it scared my parents at times when like, I would just like, you get this, and I hate to say it because like I was fortunate to make good money riding BMX. So it came really easy. I was doing tricks and they were giving me money and then sponsors and then royalties and like people seemed to be psyched. And so it just sort of was easy.
Yeah.
Like the act of doing the tricks and the hustle and like the grind on your body and the travel, I'm never going to say that was easy. That was hard. And like you have to give more than you think. Like I said this on other podcasts where I'm like, you don't realize what Nathan or Dak or these
Dude,
Gary, like
unreal.
There's a level and then there's another level. I'd like to think I was in that first, like not necessarily tier, but just like I worked hard. Like we stayed in it and worked hard. And you don't realize how much work it goes into all that stuff. So, but the money still came easy. Like it just showed up. So therefore I was always okay with like letting it go. It was like, it's not like I went and worked really hard construction and then someone handed me cash and I watched it leave my hand. I was like, oh, thanks. There's just money in my account now. Yeah. And so it made it easy to make these attempts. And it scared my parents. Like, oh, you got some money. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to start this thing. And my dad's like, okay.
Invest, don't do that.
Well, just hold on to it.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
put it in
like,
the mattress, man.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever, like, you know, from a young age, did you like think making money was hard, or was that something that always in your mind was an easy thing to do?
I don't know. That's tough. I knew my parents worked very hard. My dad works a very hard, like hands-on job, travels hours a day driving and like does very well for himself now, but like he works very hard. And still to this day works very, very hard for being an older guy. But like, and my mom always worked. My mom was like a big, when I was young, like a big, I don't know if you know who Dave Ramsey is. Mm-hmm. So my mom was this big Dave Ramsey person. So I have all these weird things that are ingrained in my life through Dave Ramsey. Like, oh,
that's cool.
We did the like envelope money thing for a little while, but like, you know, just like how to buy a car, how to do this, don't buy new cars, don't do this. And like, and don't, you know, do this when you buy your house and like short term, short this, all these things. Like when I bought a house at 21 or 22, I was like, oh yeah, 15 year, like nothing else. And, and the guy's like, it's, you need to do 30. And I was like, no. Like, and then I immediately paid extra just cause that's what I learned at 12 or 14 from my mom. And so it was like just weird little things that you just are ingrained in. So I didn't know about working hard, but I knew about like, I guess you could say trying to be smart.
Sure.
I didn't know how to work hard per se, but at the same time I knew that with BMX, like I don't think I ever missed a trip. I think no matter injury, I didn't miss anything. I mean, if I was actually broken, obviously, and I'd say I bet there's under 5 of those in 17 years.
Wow.
I definitely probably should have done a better job of like being, hey, like my ankle's hurt.
Yeah.
I'm going to chill. But I like knew how important it was to be there. If I stopped being there, they might realize they don't need me.
The next guy, maybe. Yeah.
And so I never wanted to give up my spot. And not that I didn't want to sport to grow. It's just like, this is my job.
You worked hard for it.
This is my job.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like I showed up and like, even my dad, there'd be times I'm like, oh, I want to come to the family thing at the river. And my dad's like, no, you should go to that trip.
That's cool.
Oh no. Like there's more. Like I'd be on trips where like unfortunate things would happen in my family and my parents would be like, they wouldn't tell me.
No way.
They just knew I was 20
yeah.
and they knew how important this was. And like, I got home and I see them at the airport and they're crying and I'm like, well, I know something happened.
Wow.
But they were like,
just so supportive.
But you know what's funny
yeah.
is that trip, it was one of the first Etnies filming trips. And like, you look back and that trip changed my life.
Yeah.
And like, what if I would have went home day 2? And I think they're just like, the person is gone. They're going to love that you're doing this. You're seeing this. I'm on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
You know, and like buying a plane ticket home would have been crazy. And like,
yeah, you coming home is not going to fix the situation, you know?
But I look back on that and I'm like, my parents did that out of a place of like love and like understanding, like if he's going to do this, you have to commit to this. Like coming home is not going to like help. And like, I was on that trip with all these like legends and like getting clips. And I still just say, look at those clips. And it's funny because now I look at those clips and I remember, and I've actually really never told anyone this. I've told, but never like this, but like, cause it makes me, I hope people don't think it's my parents are like, no, it's not like my parents, like a stage parents, like go to work. They're just like, what are you going to do about it?
They're supportive.
Yeah. And like, and so still to this day, like we have jams in Corpus. My dad's like, yeah, you should come down. And I'm like, oh, I've kind of been chilling, Dad. Like, I want to come see you. And he's like, no, you should go to the jam. Like, cause I think he also is someone who understands what I may mean to someone and like what the name, and I don't mean like, oh, I'm the greatest. Like, I don't think that. I think that like, I'll always have looked at me as like, I loved the least famous person in the old bike video.
Yep.
If I could meet that guy, not Van Homan, if I could meet this guy, I'd be psyched. So say I'm in there somewhere. I'm going to make someone psyched, whether or not I'm their favorite or they hate me.
That positivity that shows up. Like, yeah, because you never know. Like there could be the kid that like watched your video part where he's going through a tough time and like you're his favorite rider, you know, and like that carries a lot of weight.
Yes. And I think I remember that. And so I'm like, look, I don't, like maybe Dak's your favorite, maybe Nathan, Garrett Reynolds, but that doesn't mean that I'm not still someone that's on the trips or there or involved with these brands. So like, I always tried to make sure that like I, showed up.
Well, and I think you've done a really good job of that too along your career from what I've seen peripherally. It's like you're there and you're slapping fives. Like even if you're hurt, you're hanging out and like you're stoking kids up and like not to discredit anybody else, but that doesn't happen a ton in BMX.
I want to, say there's people that have different, I don't like, it's funny because I'm like so good in those situations, but I don't like when I'm at home, like we don't like go to events just because I want to be out at an event or like we are very like, there's a switch and I love talking to people. I love telling people my story. I want to hear their story. I want to talk about things. I want to talk about bikes, but I don't like need to be there.
Sure.
I'm like, I'm not someone who like,
you don't need like the energy pouring into you.
At one point, I think it was fun being Aaron Ross, professional bike rider. But as I've gotten older, it's like, I want to be there for BMX. I want to be there for Burn Slow. I want to be there for Aaron Ross, the pro BMXer.
Yeah.
But not for like, I don't feel, does that make sense?
Yeah, it's not filling your cup the same way as it used to, I guess. It's like you're feeding the community more or less.
It fills it up in a different way, almost in like a responsible way, like a responsibility way. And I don't mean that like, oh, I owe this I need to be there for this. No, it's like I have a different perspective and like I appreciate it different now. Like I want to be there to meet people when before I wanted to be there to show people who I was or what we were doing. Sure. And like you needed to be the business side of it. Now I'm like, dude, I just like kind of want to be at the event.
Yeah.
Like I just want to be there. Like BMX is sick. Like I went to Dawn of the Streets and I was like, this is sick just to be here. Like I know that I'm not a fly on the wall yet. And I know that I'm still like in it, but I I felt like I'm fly on the wall and I'm just here I'm just here to enjoy.
You just get to feed on that energy, and like, then you get to hype people up. Like when you're there supporting the young kid too. And like the young kid does some crazy rail trick and you're like, dude, you get to give him a high five. And like, that's got to feel awesome.
I think that's something too, where like I've done it. I've tried my hardest to tell people like Brett Silver or someone, I'm like, hey, you don't realize like how important you are to someone.
Yep.
I understand that you might not feel that way or like, maybe, it might be hard to see that, but like I still to this day get DMs and I know how important it is to reply or comment back to like, and then someone will be like, dude, I never thought you would have replied. And I'm like, if you knew what I was doing today, you'd be like, of course he's going to reply. He's not doing anything. Not like literally, but like I'm not better. I'm not getting like 1,000 DMs like I was, 10 years ago. And it's not like, so I'm like, if you're not replying, like, come on, like, what you're just choosing to not do that. And I think I'm like, so it's funny because people, and I'm like, you still think I'm like too good to like, not too good, but like there, too busy, too there. And I'm like, no, I talk to everyone. I just like,
that's so cool. I mean, every time I've ever sent you a message, you're like quick. And I'm always blown away by it because I'm intently watching what you're doing. And I'm like, this guy is like nonstop. And like, it's freaking crazy. So props to you for doing that. That's like huge, man.
It didn't help that like I'm a insane busybody. You can look through like all the stuff I've ever done. Look at the orange soda ad or like the date bike ad, all these. We built this. We went to my parents' house, into my dad's big garage, welded up this crazy bike that we found on Craigslist. And like, it was a refrigerator bike you sell ice cream out of. We painted it. We did this whole thing. We built this table, did all this stuff. And it was just for one photo for an Odyssey ad. And then we go, I find someone, I get a skateboarder, just this whole deal. And then we go, the orange soda, we buy these cans. I remember this funny story. I walked into OTX, Odyssey, at, time full factory. And I walk in, Taj is working at a desk. It's wide open door. I'm like, I got an idea.
He's like, oh, great. Here we go again.
And like, Taj is someone I always looked up to. Like, he always had fun ideas and did all this stuff, like the dog and the trailer. And just like, he did
creative. He
did what he wanted to do. He didn't let BMX or anyone else's opinion steer him away from doing something what some would say is dumb or goofy or silly. And so I always looked up to it. Mine might be sillier, but I remember I walked in the office one day and I go, I have an idea. I got an ad for the Sunkiss bike, orange soda bike. And he's like, okay, or not him, but the whole office. I'm like, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to build these giant cans and then we're going to have them shooting out water and they're going to be, and we're going to jump over them. It's going to be this whole thing. We're going to move it around. And, originally I was going to make 10 cans because I'm an insane person and I didn't make them. Jim Bauer painted them, I'm pretty sure, ordered stickers, me and these cans. And then, them or Jim or Walter, someone was like, we'll just make 2 and then we can just
Photoshop them. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
That doesn't sound as fun, man.
Yeah. I want to make 10. I want them to be 10. And I just remember like later, maybe then, and Taj just at his desk and he's like, Aaron just came in here, yelled at us about his idea. It's about oversized cans. They're like, we had to get a water hose at the school so that it could spray water. Like it's spraying water. I'm jumping through it. It's like spraying water. And I think he's just like, okay. And I think I left and Taj was like, well, that's never going to happen. Yeah. And then like within the next just week, we're like with cans and just like, it's all happening. And so I say all that because that leads me to like now meeting my wife, and she would have had tin cans. And she would have had real soda shooting out of the hose. So like take me and then now take my wife. And then like, that's our schedule.
Dude. It's just like emulsified each other and just like made it crazy.
Oh my God. It's awful. Like, and I'm sometimes like, hey, we could chill. Like it's fine. Like I'm the one who wants to chill. Like, I'm like, yeah, I think it's like, it's 9. It's 10:30 at night.
Met your match,
the
man.
baby is still awake. And we're out. Like we don't go home before 9 o'clock, 6 nights of the week. Our baby doesn't nap. She's up till 9 to 10, 11 o'clock every night. She's poured concrete already. She's filled up buckets for concrete. She's watered plants. She's moved dirt. She has moved rocks. We're not putting our baby to work. It's just like,
I love seeing the videos of that, by the way, because
and they're real,
dude. It's awesome.
They're
real. So cool. Like, cause most people I know that end up having kids, they're like, their lives end up being controlled by the kid. And they're like, I can't do anything because the kid, and like, seeing that, it's like, dude, you take your kids with you to do this stuff. And like that builds them into being, tough people, hardworking people, like the work ethics put into them. Like, that's awesome.
We, from day one, my parents were like, my wife is the first child. I'm the first child. She's the first of 5. And they like, her dad and mom were like, yeah, Bethany didn't tell us what we were going to do. If we were out, she went to sleep in the car. If we were out, she went to sleep in the stroller. Like, we didn't go home to put her to bed. And I was like, yeah, we didn't either. Like, or my parents didn't with me. Of my wife's 5 kids, or sorry, my siblings, and then of my sister and I, both our parents are like, oh, the 2 most insane children that we have are Bethany. And then my parents say the same, like didn't go to restaurants till we were like 5. Bethany was like wild animal, like my daughter or like me. And then you have her sister that came next, like literally like put herself to sleep at like 9 o'clock or like 7 o'clock under the table, could fall asleep anywhere. And Bethany's like, we're just like FOMO, like running around, like we're going to do something.
Oh, that's so funny.
So then you add up all that, you get a daughter in there, and then you just have like, dude, I swear my daughter's poured concrete.
That's so
like she
freaking
was
cool.
2 months or 2 years and 2 months. And like, she's literally like filling the bucket up. Not just for like an hour, for like almost 2 hours while we put up a fence. It's just my wife, me, and the baby building this property out in Freshburg for this Airbnb thing. And like, we were like, she's still doing it. Like she's still feeling it.
Don't
up.
Say anything because she'll just keep
she's
going.
Like, love it. And it's one where like, sometimes kids are like, don't take the bucket yet. It's not full. And you're like, no, but I need it. She's like, take the bucket. And she just wait, fill it back up. Wait.
Dude,
and
that's legendary.
Dude, it was unreal. So anyways, the goal now we have is like, we have a long ways to go where she'll remember all this.
Yep.
So how do we teach her how to work? Because she's learning how to work now, but if we get to a good spot where we are, not doing as much or don't have to, how do we teach her to work hard?
Yeah.
It's going to be tough.
How does she take on the next Airbnb projects when she's of age?
Yes.
That's so exciting.
We got a long ways to go.
I want to jump back to talking about like going to the events and stuff. And you're saying like, you don't need to go, but like you like to go. Would you say like, are you naturally like an extrovert, or are you like an introverted extrovert?
We talk about this a lot. I think I'm the second one. Like I'm content like in my front yard or like working on a project or being at home, being with the family. But when I get to the front door of wherever we're going, there's a button switch that turns on and I become this like, all right, I'm here.
Yeah.
Because it's funny because like I relate to like the moment until I walk in the door. Like I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Like it could be Adam's house and I like love Adam and I'm like, oh,
yeah, like I have so much other stuff to do.
It's not about other stuff to do. It's about like, just mentally, like you're just like, I think it's because I don't just walk in and chill.
Yeah.
So I walk in and I turn it on and I become this like, which is fine. That's just who I am. I want to talk and talk and talk and talk. And I like yell all night and like yell is like, I just talk loud.
Yeah.
But I do love meeting people. I love meeting new people. I love talking to people. I've always felt like I was a really good dot connector. So I'm good at like helping people do other things. Like if you need something, I can like help you make it happen somehow. I've been very lucky and with a good friend circle and been able to, and I take a lot of I really love that. Like, I love to help people get jobs and find like,
just plug people in
I just
into
love
the
it.
spots.
I love it. And I think the first 10 years of it, I plugged people into some amazing things they started and I didn't get anything from it. Not that that's why you do it.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh man, yeah, I can help you. I know a guy that can do this, that do that and do this. And we'll open your bar. And then I'm like, can I be a part of it?
Yep.
And like, you've forgotten about.
Yeah, that's a hard thing. It almost becomes exhausting when like, then people start hitting you up and asking for those favors. And you're like, okay, well,
yeah.
Not that, like you said, you're not looking for that to be returned, but at the same time, it's like, let's make this like collaborative.
I think it's tough. Yeah. Collaborative is good. And like, I've been able to connect some dots on some really amazing things and like never got anything from it, which is, I don't lose sleep over that. But when you're trying to bridge that gap, like we were talking about earlier, watching those other things succeed and you're like, I was like a pretty big part of that start. It kind of is like, well, what if that was my miss, like, and, I kept working on my own stuff and doing my own thing, but like, it's tough because you're like, I don't think I deserve all these things. That's not the point. It's just like, should I have connected my own dots? But then it becomes like, I'm the person who's like, what's the point of owning like 100% of something if it's not doing anything?
100%.
And like, I've always been handed out, like, we're starting this new food concept and I'm like, I already have a business partner that's involved with the other one. We're doing another one. I'm like, I want to split my thing in half, give it to someone that can do all the PR because I feel like we can get a better person. And like handing those things out makes it really fun. It's fun to be a part of things that are working.
Yeah.
And
being able to delegate is so huge to make those things happen. I heard a figure not too long ago about Amazon saying, like, they were talking about how much Jeff Bezos owns of Amazon. And it's like 12%. And he's still top 3 richest man in the world. And that like made me really rethink business in that aspect because it's like, well, like you said, if you own 100% of nothing, it's 100% of nothing. Yeah. But if you own 12% of something that's doing big numbers, that's really cool.
I think my goal is like, we want to own 10 things and just 10% of all of them or whatever. And like, and have my friends. I want to do this with Adam. I want to do it with Burn Slow and Chase and Devin and all these people. Like, I want to see everyone in that circle succeed and like be in a good spot. And like, if I can help do that, that's been my goal since day one. I'm pretty sure I'm the most annoying person out of some of my friends. Like, I was probably a little too eager at 24 and 25 and like probably rub people the wrong way. I was like, okay, what you got to do is you got to buy a house and like, you got to do this, you got to do that. And they're probably like, dude, I just want to like ride these trails. Yeah. And like, and I, but I was eager and that was what's on my mind. And like, when it wasn't riding, it was like, not necessarily like success. It was the fear of like, what's next?
Yeah.
And like at 24, I thought 27 was it. At 27, I thought 30. And like, here we are at 36 and like, still riding bikes.
Just getting
and like,
started, man.
Yeah, getting started now. Now it's changing, but getting started on other things.
Well, it's funny, like, you talk about being at the trails and like trying to get somebody to buy a house. And like, when you look back in the rearview mirror in hindsight at that kind of stuff, and you're like, oh, like you can't tell people things that they're not ready to hear, Like that's a really hard thing, I think, like to do, especially when you are so focused on like, hey, this is the business of it. And like, I want all my friends to like, live good lives.
Totally.
And like,
this
isn't forever.
It's coming from a good place, but when it's not the right time or when they're not ready, it's annoying, and it took me a long time to learn that. And I've tried my hardest to chill out, but I think it's also the thing that has, stuck with me the most is like, people are like, you got to manifest it. You got to manifest. I'm like, I think I was just manifesting it for myself, like telling everyone that like, this is what I'm going to do. This is how it's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. And like, there was things I said that like 8 years ago that like, I hadn't even started, but I was like, this is what I'm going to do. Yeah. And like, if I had 20 of them, I'm probably still doing 3 and maybe 10 of them didn't even start. And like, you just sort of, I just always was like putting stuff out in the universe and just like, okay.
Well, it's good to like vocalize it and like pin it to the wall.
Totally.
And like, cause sometimes like until you say something out loud, like you don't realize like, oh, that's a dumb idea or that's a great idea. Like, and sometimes you get to say something out loud and somebody reacts to it and you're like, okay, that's a really good idea.
And I've always felt like I've had a ton of ideas, but like I know what I'm capable of. It's like, oh yeah, I want to open a bar one day. That'd be great. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to like do it alone. I'm not going to like, I can't. I'm not capable of those things. I need the right team. Yep. I probably will open a bar one day and we'll own a bar with, probably my business partner, Justin or whoever, but it's when they are ready as well, because I can't do it on my own.
Yeah.
And I know where my strengths are. My strengths are connecting dots and doing all these other things and like gathering all the right people and making it happen. And like, but it's not going and negotiating a lease and like those things. It's more of like, oh, I have a spot now, bring the right person to negotiate this and do that, because I'm like the person who gets everyone comfortable.
Sure.
And then is like, no, we'll prove it.
Yeah.
Like we can prove it, but it's like, I don't want to sit here and say some stuff that like, I try not to mess up before it's too late or too early.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay,
you don't want to overpromise, underdeliver.
Yeah. And so I'm always like, okay, good. Okay. Let's set up a meeting. I'm bringing my wife like immediately, like, cause we do a lot of real estate development now too. And you know, I like get people excited, say no numbers, say no price, say nothing. And I'm like, here's Bethany. And she'll like, you know, Bethany's super easy to talk to, super fun to talk to, but has an Excel sheet. She's like, this is how much the price of land is. This is what the return is. That's so cool. Down to the detail. And I'm like, yeah. So like the land's over there. It probably had trails on it once.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we're working on some, we're working on some pretty big things. And like, and like her and her dad do that too. Like I was saying outside those places out where your friends lived and stuff like, so it's one where like, I'm a dot connector. That's so okay.
Well, it's so good to know what your skill is, right? Yes. Because you see so many people who are working on incredible things, but they're spread so thin working on like, you know, if they own a business and they're trying to do the books and they're trying to do the marketing and they're trying to do like the sales, hard. Like you can't do it all. It's very difficult to do. I can't do
most of that. Like but getting people to somewhere and like getting the right people and getting the people in touch, I can do that all day. But like, if you asked me to like do the books on something, I'd be like, we should just close.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, we're done. I think we're bankrupt. I don't know.
They'd be like, you're doing great. You're like, we're not going to be soon.
So where do you think that skill set came from of connecting the dots? Was that something that was like born and bred through BMX and traveling? And
I think it came from my dad. I used to go to work with him in the summer. He's he works in the automotive industry as like a, technician or whatever, like works on all kinds of lifts, and he's a big car guy and travels and like works on the machines that work on your cars and stuff and installs them. And I never noticed it when I was a kid, but now looking back, and when I see him, my dad, we go to a restaurant in my hometown, and my dad's like, every restaurant, he's like, oh, hey. And I was like, oh, my dad knows every single person in this town. And he talks like, my dad could get more done if he didn't talk to every single person in the shop on the way to the thing he's about to fix.
Sure.
And I'm the exact same way. I could have got the yard work in front of my house done in an hour quicker if I didn't talk to every single neighbor that walks by or person I don't even know. And I built all this metal work in my front yard, and it probably took me an extra week. Not kidding. I talked to every person that walked by, and like, I'm just not someone who can just be like, good to see you.
Yep.
I'm like, good to see you. Where do you live? What's your deal? What's happened? Let me tell you why we have this house.
That's awesome.
And that's so ridiculous, but it's true. It's happened 3 times this week. I've talked to someone about who did the metal work in my front yard, which is me. Talked about the yellow bug that's in front of the house. Like it's like, I can't stop. Like, I just love talking. I love meeting people. I love also like when riding BMX, I love surprising people that like, I'm not some punk kid that like is going to be.
Yeah. Breaking those stereotypes a little bit.
Like, I love, getting pulled over by the, cop when you're riding and like being like, oh yeah, like the food truck down there. And he's like, oh, like left field, or whatever it may be. And I think that's fun. And I love breaking the stereotypes of what like a skater or a BMXer is. And one of the things I thought about earlier was the BMX is funny, like, or BMX action sports. It's hard. Like when you get to, not everyone you would meet when doing all the dot connecting, they don't need BMX. Mm-hmm. No one. And that was hard for me because I'd made so many great friends, like kind of important friends in Austin. And they'd be like, oh, we got to find a way to work together. And I'm like, yeah, we bring a ramp to the restaurant. Like, it doesn't work like that.
Sure.
If you're a band or if I was equally as famous at being a photographer and then you made all these connections, you'd be the busiest person in the world, and you could 100%. You could be used at every event, every wedding, everything you could do. But no one what are you going to do with BMX? It's different if you're a flatlander. You could literally take it into the restaurant and do your thing. And that was something that always stuck with me, where I was like, man, like you got it. I want to open this like food truck so that the food truck could like serve food at these people's parties or whatever. And that like later worked out. But that was always interesting to me. It was like, not everyone needs BMX. Like you can't just show up to BMX or show up with BMX and be like, yeah, like what do we do?
Do you know what this is? You know how this is going to benefit you?
Yeah, yes. Exactly. And it's like that. It barely does, and or most of the time can't. And so like when you have those other skill sets like band or art or something, you can take that stuff to parties. People can hang art on their wall. Mm-hmm. Like you can't just like hang me on your wall with like a bike and be happy. Like, and so it's a weird niche when getting into these other circles where people want to work together, but they just like don't know how.
What value do you bring?
Yep.
You know, like that's a hard thing. And I think, you know, I really get excited when I see people in BMX or skateboarding or whatever, they start venturing out into these different worlds. And like, you know, we were talking about like the Chris Muller podcast, like hearing him like talk about like the business end of it and like start educating people on what that looks like. I love that because that I really think furthers the industry and like gets it away from being just focused on like, hey, we just ride BMX. Like, let's be bigger than that. That's how you grow the industry, in my opinion.
Well,
and
that's
like,
what I've always told parents. Parents are like, what do I tell my kid? Like, is this like something he should really pursue? And like, if so, like how is he good? And this, that, and the other. I'm like, well, actually, no joke, had someone from India today. Someone I've been talking online to for, I couldn't tell you, but a long time. Maybe I met him in India 12 years ago, but I don't think so. But he today was like, how do I pursue BMX? How do I make it my job? And it's a really tough one. And you know, I'm trying to be gentle, like, cause I've seen his skill set and his riding and like, but he's also in a foreign country where like that might take him further than it would here.
Sure.
Because there's not a lot there. You got to be the first to do
less
these
saturated.
things. Yeah. And it's really hard to be like, yeah, you should give up. I mean, I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
But I tried to be like, yeah, but like, okay, say you went and worked for this, you know, like an energy drink company over there and you could become the person that puts on the events for All Action Sports. And like, cause he basically was asking me, like, should I give up and like get a real job? And that's really hard. Yeah. Because it's like, maybe. Yeah. But at the same time, like make your real job your passion. Like, totally. Don't just open a bike shop. It's hard. And like, or, you know, something like it's hard to do that in India. Like, dude, every photo he has, there's like 12 bike riders. Like there's not a scene, you know, like I understand that's a scene, but it's not like Austin where there's 1,000. Yeah. Like you can, a scene, a big market to
take advantage of. Yeah.
And so I kind of tried my hardest to be like, no, like make whatever the job avenue you take your passion. And like, that's hard to tell someone. Like, you know, I get messages all the time from kids like, hey, how do I get sponsored? Like, can you sponsor me? Sponsor me, sponsor me. And I'm like, and I've never used this, but I've always wanted to be like, maybe once I have. And I've always been like, have you ever seen like, you know, like Dakota ride? Can you do any of that? Like, that's the bar. Yeah. Like, you know,
and it's
like
set high, man.
Oh my gosh. And so like, but there's some of these people that message you, they're not even,
they're not even, they're base level, you know,
they're not even on like, AM is in the like close to the top, like they're not even, it's not. And I'm like, man, like it's that touch of reality is hard on me. Don't put that on, like they put it on you. And I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, man, good luck.
Well,
like,
and I think it's hard too, especially living in the age of social media that we live in now, because people like, they're like, they, you know, they feel like they can bring value to a brand or whatever. And it's like, well, just because you're like posting stuff on Instagram, like look at the guys who are doing really well with that. Look how many likes they're getting. And like, just try and correlate that to dollars. I
try, and that's kind of how I try to explain it. But I also am like, if you can curate this Instagram or your thing to be correct, it's not about the riding anymore. It's like, how good of photos can you shoot? How good of film can you make? Like, dude, like we need filmers, we need TMs, we need product designers. I tell parents this, I tell kids, and they're like, okay, like, and I think sometimes they're like, yeah, okay, that makes more sense. I'm not like gonna make it like riding. Yeah, that doesn't mean you don't get to travel the world with your favorite, some of your other favorite bike riders and like make videos and make content and stuff. And so I'm like, I've tried to tell them that for years to be like, yo man, like, just like, there's so many other jobs. Like
step outside of the silo that you think that is, because I mean, realistically, like there is so much opportunity in just the industry alone.
Totally. Or in bike industry in general, like say it's like mountain biking or whatever it may be. And like,
when I see,
and it's not like I'm trying to tell people to stop riding. I'm like, follow your dreams, but like, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Like even the best don't get all the shots they deserve, you know?
Well, and like, I think a lot of times too, like when people end up not like stopping riding, but making that not their priority, but they still love riding. Like you almost love riding more because you're not doing it all the time and you're not like killing yourself for it. It's the same thing. It's like, you know, you never find a job that you actually love because it's always going to be work, you know?
I mean, it happens even for me, like getting to this point where I'm like, oh man, doing a bar spin's pretty fun. Like before it was like, how do I do the biggest bar spin I can do? How do you do this? And now I'm kind of like, man, I'm like pretty good at this, like the base of my level. And it's almost so much more fun because I get to like accomplish tricks like first try. And I'm like, man, this is sick. Yeah. When like for the last 14, 16 years, I've not accomplished any tricks first try because intentionally
you're out there killing yourself,
trying to push and push and push. And now I'm like, man, I can do a manual whip right now. Yeah. And this like, that's it. I don't need to do like the 14 tricks before the manual whip. Just like do the one.
Yeah.
And that's become really fun. And like, you know, it's almost like this I'm re-enjoying it at a different level. And it's like, oh, I'll do a feeble 3. When before you'd be like, okay, I have to do feeble 1A bar and then half cab bar and then have to do that. And it's like,
it's work, man.
I'm exhausted.
You know?
You know?
That's a lot, dude. I don't know. Talking about like the writing and stuff, I kind of want to drill more into like the BMX career and ask you what your favorite project that you've worked on is, because you've worked on so many and you kind of talked about some of the photos that you've shot along the way, but I'd love to hear it from your perspective.
I mean, if we're talking about like specific video projects, obviously the hardcore like filming videos are like some of my favorite. I think sometimes, and I said this on a podcast with like Anderson and Fudger once, and I was like, I think people got blinded by like the colorful bikes at times and would be like, oh, he just like is gimmicky. And I'm like, no, like I was in the streets. I was like filming. I was like 6 hours in on tricks, and like I was as real as you could get while doing the other stuff. And so those are the obvious ones, like just those projects, like those meant so much to me. Like we would chase tricks and chase spots. I mean, we drove across the country 4 times to go to Boston to ride a spot.
Wow.
Like left Austin to ride a spot, like
just one spot,
4 years in a row, trying to get one trick that I just couldn't get, finally got. But
what was that?
There was the feeble 5 on the shapes and at the school. Yep. It was one of those like,
and like the big courtyard.
Yeah. And I hadn't done it, and I kept trying. I'd done it like at X Games on perfect ledges and like couldn't find the spot to do it on the street. And then years later, like, of course, once you do it, all the spots in the world just like, it unlocks all these spots that you couldn't find and all this stuff, and like becomes easier. But like we chased it. I've chased tricks across the world. I've chased tricks across country, and like that is the best. Chasing it and getting it done, and then getting there and being like, we're going to do this trick, and then getting there and being like, oh, I'm going to do a completely different trick that's better because I'm here and it feels different.
Yeah.
But I think some of the funnest projects would have to be like the Terry and Adam series. It's like so goofy, so funny. It's like, if you go back and watch the second one, the writing's so good.
Yeah.
It's like, I was like, oh yeah, this is all pretty easy. And it was like, we were doing doable stuff so you could film it together and synchronize it. But like, you watch that video and I'm like, man, we did like some, like jumping over that fence was like
pretty savage,
big. Yeah. And like, I'm like, damn, I wouldn't do that. Like, I mean, obviously I wouldn't do it today, but I think it was something where like, those are fun because they're like, it takes away the like, no one is like, hey, he didn't do a triple whip. They're like, damn, that was fun. And then the writing was good. And like, so I think those projects became really fun. And like, you know, those were the ones that like, I think all those little gimmicky like bike checks and all that stuff is fun because you could like be creative and like have fun and like take the seriousness.
You get to make people laugh. You know, I was actually just listening to something with the guy who started Liquid Death. His name's Mike. And he was saying, he's like, you know, the brand has grown so fast. They're valued at $700 million in 3 years. And he was like, our number one goal is to make people laugh. Yeah. He's like, we're an entertainment company. It's the same thing. He's like, think about the most dumb, funny thing you can do. And he's like, that's exactly what we're doing. And I think that there's so much value in the world that we live in. Because it's like, how can we be serious and make people believe that we're big kids, you know? And it's like, dude, no, that's dumb. Like,
I've always told kids at shops, I'm like, just have fun. Like, just have fun. Like my right is let's get awesome or have fun every day. Like when I sign, those are the 2 things I've said forever. And I'm like, dude, just have fun every day somehow. Like I get that life's hard. Like I don't want to be like, oh, like I'm very positive. I'm very optimistic. I'm a glass half full, like in every aspect of my life. It takes months to get beat down to where I'm like, oh, that glass might actually be empty. Like it takes a long time. And I'm very fortunate to have that outlook. I still struggle with other things like others, like where I get bummed or this, that, and I get overwhelmed. Like, you know, like this past 10 days has been pretty overwhelming on top of some projects and stuff. And like my wife's overwhelmed. We're like, have to go present to the city tonight for something. She's at a city meeting currently in a different city. And like, those things are overwhelming because you're like, what if it's no?
Yeah.
And then you're just like, where do you go from here? And
stuck in the mud.
But at the same time, like you just kind of keep going and you keep going and keep getting up. And like, I get it. Some people struggle with that more. And I'm fortunate to have that. Like, if I sit still, I kind of get to thinking too much and I'm not someone that sits still. So I think I've kind of do a good job of.
Well, I think, if you're setting that goal down the road and you're always chasing a goal instead of like getting to the goal and sitting still, like it's very easy to look around and be like, oh, life's kind of crazy. But if you're always chasing something, like it's almost like a form of like disassociative positivity.
Yeah. It's funny because I've had these goals for the last few years. We've been working on all these projects, houses, a couple development projects, like everything, like trying to raise money, trying to like build stuff, trying to do no one will ever understand what the last 2 years were like just busyness, the busy of it. And it's funny because we're like this close to the end. And now it's funny because I'm like, oh man, I might try and race next year.
Ooh.
Like get back. I go to the track.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I might try and race. Like Jim Bauer's racing.
Hit some
got a little
nationals,
crew,
maybe.
like hit a national or two in a city that I love. And like, I'm quick. Let's get quicker. Let's have fun.
Dude, I love hearing
But it's
that.
funny because it's like 6 months ago, I dreamed of that.
Yeah.
Like I was like, dude, what? Like I have 3 more months of like literal like days of
labor,
work, like
hard
labor.
labor.
And then like I picked up I got wheels built for my DJ and new handlebars. Just picked it up from the shop I work with down the street that we opened. And like, I'm like literally down the street. We're at Empire. It's like you could throw a baseball to it.
That's crazy.
And not a BMX shop, but picked up the DJ. And I'm like, I picked up DJ. I sent photos to like Jim and my DJ buddies. And I was like, dude, look, look at my new bike. And like this little, I'm like, but I'm still like next year.
Yeah.
Like next year I'll have time. We'll be done. And like the lunch, I won't miss the lunch session. I'll be there. I'm ready. Hi.
We've got a guest walking in.
Come here. So come on. You have no shoes on? Look, you want to say hi?
Hi.
Say hi. Can you tell him your name?
Hi.
You can use your big girl voice. Say, I'm Honey James. We can keep talking. If you can be quiet, you can stay here. You just have to keep your mouth shut. You can listen to Daddy for a minute. Deal? Pinky promise. Thank you.
Heck yeah, my favorite guest just walked in.
This is it. She's the boss. So this is Honey James. Hey, have you helped work on all the Sunday house stuff?
Yeah.
Did you do a lot of the work yourself?
Yeah.
Did you help build Honey's house?
Yeah.
Did you help pour concrete?
Yeah.
Did we learn how to use a drill the other day?
Yeah.
What was it like? Was it scary?
Yeah.
Okay, you're just gonna say yeah. Okay.
You're a hard worker.
You are? Are you a hard worker?
Uh.
Oh no. Where did you learn to work so hard?
I just hit my bum to it and I hit it.
You hit your finger? She has a broken fingernail because of all her hard work.
Dang, out there working hard, huh?
Yeah.
All that concrete work.
Let's ask. We're talking about bike riding. Did you learn how to ride your bike this year?
Yes.
All by yourself?
Yeah.
Did Daddy take his hands off?
Yes.
Whoa.
Was it scary?
Yeah.
What color is your bike?
Blue.
It is blue.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice. And she learned how to use the drill. She's been a little scared of the drill.
Okay.
And she learned how to use the drill the other day for what were we building?
A chair.
We were building a trailer.
Whoa.
For a bike. So we went and picked up, this is all coming out soon. We're doing like a influencer, Instagram campaign. And we went, we built a bike trailer to then go pick up our Christmas tree, which we cut down. She picked the Christmas tree. And then we pedaled all the way to the place, faked it a little bit. And then we picked up the Christmas tree on our Christmas tree trailer and rode it home and then put it up in our house and decorated it, right?
That's so cool. Is this going to be like a Christmas card thing too?
No, this is literally just like a influencer post. Cool. And I, want to do something creative, and we do have a Christmas card photo idea.
You guys always have like the coolest like family Christmas cards. Like every year I feel like you guys have the best, like so well produced.
So you want to say hook 'em and say bye?
Hook 'em.
Hook 'em.
See ya.
So wait, you're from Salt Lake.
From Colorado.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Never mind.
Boulder area,
Okay.
but yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, are you a Utah fan? But never mind. You're like, not at all.
No. Nope.
Okay. So anyways, what were we saying? So the bike, yeah. So I got an Instagram thing, and I always go, when this comes out, you'll be like, oh, that's literally in line with the bike thing. Like all this dumb stuff. We don't need to do this. Like they're not asking for us to do this. They're just like, yeah, if you could like take a picture of the product and like post it. I'm like, okay, so what we're going to do.
But that's like the cool part about it. Like, I feel like that is like part of why your career has taken the turn that it took, is because you went above and beyond, and there's so many people, you talk about the kids who want to be sponsored, and it's like, if you're not going above and beyond at that level, like when you get to the level where you're going, and you see it with guys that, do make it to being sponsored or at the pro level, and like they get there and then they kind of stop producing. And it's like, dude, you got to keep going above and beyond. And it's the same thing of like everything else in life, I feel like, where you got to set those goals and you got to keep pushing forward. And this second you get stagnant is when you get bored and when life gets tough. So
I've always said, look, man, there's only a handful of people that are allowed to literally just be like, here's the product. Watch my bike riding.
Yep.
I'm not that person. I was the one who was like, yeah, there was maybe a moment in there where I could be like, buy this product, whatever. But I was always the one who was like, no, I got to give you more.
Yeah.
My bike riding is good, but it's not my work ethic was what was really good. I was good, but I wasn't Garrett Reynolds. Like, and I knew that from day one. I was always like, damn, I'm not Garrett Reynolds. Like, we were born on the same day, but I missed out on a little bit of it.
You guys have the same birthday.
A few years apart.
That's crazy.
Same exact day.
Same day.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm always like, it's always a bummer, you know, because I'm like, man, I didn't even get my own birthday. Like, this guy got it all. This guy got everything.
He really did
he
get
got
it all,
everything.
dude. He is insane.
He's the man.
A machine.
You know, someone like Nathan Williams, I think Nathan is the best.
Yeah.
Like, the best. Nathan can show you the photo and be like, this is my drink.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm like, okay, I got to build these giant cans and I got to do all this stuff. Cause I'm like, I was more of an entertainer. And I think Nathan and those guys are a little bit more BMXer. They're entertainers, but they're the dudes.
Yeah, they're in like the core of it, and they're like out there grinding.
That doesn't mean that they have to.
Yeah,
it just means that like they're allowed to. And they get away with it, and like no disrespect. Like I just wasn't that good.
Each their own,
I wasn't that good.
Yeah.
I had to give you more of my personality. I had to give you more. I had to give you more to like feed off of to like be an entertainer. And I was lucky to have good ideas and be able to do it, but I had to.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about BMX or just kind of like alternative sports in general is that you get to involve your personality a little bit and you get to approach it differently. There's not like this like clear cut course of like, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
And like, I kind of want to jump back and talk about the bikes a little bit. Like you said, you know, you feel like people looked at it kind of gimmicky because you had the colors and the crazy, like, you know, matching bikes. Was that by design? Were you doing that for marketability or were you just involving personality? Like
they're a mixture. Like day one, my dad is a maker of everything. He's built jetpacks, flew around the lake, like literally built a jetpack to, you know, one of the ones jet water packs you hook to the jet ski, got a fire hose from a friend, built the pack, bought wakeboard boots, built it, flies at 60 feet, built the remote control, drives the jet ski with the remote control. So my point is I like came from a maker. My dad has made anything and everything. He can make anything and everything work. He can build anything. And so I think having a little bit of that in me where I was like, I can just do this stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I was like the trailer, my wife, the baby's talking about like, I like don't need a Christmas tree trailer. Now I own one.
Yeah.
It's just sitting here. It's going to be in my life for the rest of my life for some reason, but like, I'm never going to use it again. But I think just like that's my personality. And so I guess what I'm getting to, my dad had built a powder coating oven and like built an oven, did all this stuff when I was a kid because we went and paid to get my bike painted once and it was like $120. And my dad's like, we're not doing that again. Like
we could build one for cheaper.
We could just build one and have it in the garage. And my dad, restores cars and all this stuff. He's like, I can just start painting stuff. This is great. So we built this. I was painting my frame every 2 weeks, like literally pink. I had a pink bike when I was 16, like maybe 14. I did it. We painted every color.
Were you stripping it down or just painting on top of it?
I was torching that thing. My dad had the old torch and I would literally just burn powder off the bike, throw it in the oven, paint a new color.
Wow.
Later find out it's probably not good to torch your bike, but I don't know, 4130 or whatever. When was it heat turn? Like that became good later. Yeah. How do they do it?
Heat treated.
I was heat treating these frames. I would heat treat a frame like 9 times. I mean, I swear to you, like bikes were changing colors like
that's
monthly.
Crazy.
So I get on FBM and I like kind of lose that, because I'm like, these are the bike colors.
Yep.
I'm like, cool. So then Crandall's like, hey, we're making you a bike. What color? And I'm like, fluorescent yellow. What's the wildest color I can think of? Like, and why? Like, I think I loved Saved by the Bell. I loved the 80s. I love old cars. I love fluorescent stuff. And so it was just like fluorescent yellow, and Crandall was not down.
Really?
Yeah. But I was like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I can't think. And I'm also pretty like, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I don't have a lot of good ideas. I just like what I like and I go with them. And so I think like, I was like fluorescent yellow. I don't even know another color anymore. It's like my brain is blank. Like you could be like, well, what about orange? And I'd be like, fluorescent yellow. Like, I don't know. And so then that took off.
Yeah.
And then it just sort of became, well, let's make this, Saved by the Bell bike. Let's make the Master Blaster, which was like these weird things. We had the Master, what was it? We had the Airmaster.
Yep.
Never really came out, but it was Adam made the graphics. It was Michael Jordan on the front. It was the Airmaster bike. So we went Stairmaster, Master Blaster, and the Airmaster was next. Like it was literally like Michael Jordan. And like we just like
sweet.
All three of those things are my childhood. Saved by the Bell, Super Soaker Water Guns, Michael Jordan. And we're just like, and we're off and running. We get on Sunday and like Jim Bauer's like insane art guy, like teal, like fluorescent, or a mint green car, like, and I'm like, I got these ideas. And it didn't start as themes. It just turned into it. And I was like, well, it could be watermelon colored. And I was like, let's put ants on it. And like, I mean, it just like blew up. And like,
I went crazy, man.
And then it became really fun to find some themes and like go from there. But that wasn't the intention. It was just like, but then once you can do it, you can do whatever you want. The orange one was my favorite.
Yeah. The sun-kissed one. Is that the one?
It's just the most complete.
Yeah.
The watermelon bike was complete as it could be. And I think the watermelon actually might be my favorite.
Yeah.
Just because the ants and the little details, it's like so ridiculous. But the Orange Kiss one was just so cool. It's like every part, everything. And it did so well.
When it was like, it was kind of part of a bigger campaign because it was like all integrated with like, the similar branding to the orange soda. And like, there's so much cool in that. And I love that it was like a work in progress every step of the way. Like almost and
some of these
thing.
ideas are so dumb. Like we'd be in there and I'd be like, okay, so wait, hold on. Could the tire ride on the ground while you ride through water? And they're like, yeah, I don't see why not.
I remember when those tires came out and like how much of like a revelation that was. I remember my local bike shop, it was called Joe's Bike Shop in Lafayette, Colorado. And they got those tires and he was like, yeah, if you get them wet, right across the ground.
I know.
I was
it's like,
what?
That was like not, I mean, I don't remember how, it wasn't like we have these big meetings. We're like, okay, so like, what can we do? I'm like, make it right on the ground. And then they're like, okay. Like, it's like, it wasn't like, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was all fun.
And I think that's like what it should be. Like the essence of, you said it earlier. It's like, just have fun. It's like, well, that's kind of what the essence of most things should be. Like life is pretty serious as it is. Yeah. So like, don't take things seriously that don't need to be taken seriously.
That's kind of exactly it. Like I just like would throw out these dumb ideas and then I kind of had the bike riding to back it up.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like, I think maybe I could have been a little more hardcore, stuck with a black bike, and maybe all my tricks would have been looked at like a little more. But I think I stood out because of these other ideas, and I was like, would it have been fun if I did a whole 17-year career on a black bike? Like, yeah, I would have had fun. I would have kept those memories, but like people remember all this other stuff, and it wasn't because of that. It was just like, I mean, still to this day, like the way the tires got made or the grip got made or whatever, or the wildness is the exact same thing I did with this trailer the other day.
Yeah.
Like we don't need a Christmas tree trailer. This video didn't need I could have picked it up in a car. Like this is we faked the whole thing.
And you guys have like such cool cars to go do it in.
So and I'm like, no, we're going to ride bikes. We're going to fake riding a bike with my daughter. My daughter's on the bike with me and we're towing a Christmas tree.
I love that you talk about that earlier though. It's like, BMX doesn't fit into so many things, but then like it comes full circle and like, okay, well I can use the BMX here or the bike here and like integrate it that way. So that's freaking cool.
I know. I love it, man. Bikes are so cool.
They are so cool.
I've always been a big supporter of you get people like, what do you think about kids at the skate park with the scooters? I'm like, are they at the skate park having fun? And they're like, well, yeah, but they're snaking me. And I'm like, well, yeah, but you don't we've all been there, dude. If they were on a BMX bike and they were 12, they would snake you too.
Yeah.
If they were on a skateboard and they were 12, they're snake you too. So it doesn't matter. I'm like, as long as they're having fun.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that ride mountain bikes, just do something. Yeah. Do something fun.
Do what makes you happy. Because at the end of the day, I always try and remind people of that same thing. It's like, dude, we're all riding little kid toys.
Yeah,
like
totally.
Who cares? Like that's just a different little kid toy than what I'm riding.
That's how I explained it. I'd be like, yeah, so like I'm riding a child's bike.
Yeah.
This is literally a child's bike.
Like we can't be mad. We can be mad, but why should we be mad?
I know when you're like someone's like wants to fight and I'm like, dude, I'm on a children's bike. Like I bet you would beat me. Like I can't. I'm on a kid's bike.
That's amazing, dude. So talking about like designing those tires and stuff, like so it sounds like you're pretty hands-on with like that design process. Did you like model the keyboard around any sort of like device? Because I know you were like big on the sidekick there for a bit.
I was definitely Steve Crandall had that idea.
Yeah.
And I think he knew that like FBM wasn't gonna be able to produce it at the level that Odyssey could.
Sure.
So and it was because I was texting and always all doing stuff and like I was online, I was on Twitter, I was doing all this stuff. And I think he was like, yeah, you're like do this. Like this is a good idea. And it was like I still to this day I'm like, that was such a good idea. And I didn't have it. That was Crandall. But like what we were able to execute and what we were able to do with it, the 50 different colors all over the world, the scooter, the whole thing. Still to this day, I actually sometimes am sad that like the phone has changed so much that idea does not.
It like doesn't translate.
Yeah, it does for the older crowd, and like it does for certain things, but it doesn't translate to the same because it's not the same.
Yeah.
Like the world is different. And like that was a moment that you could use these numbers and like build a keyboard, and like no one's even on a keyboard anymore. They're just all on their phones. And like, so it was sometimes I'm like, man, that was like the tire and the grips. Like that was probably like the coolest thing that has ever happened.
Perfect place and
it's not
time.
even me, Steve Crandall.
That's so cool.
So
dude.
go support Steve Crandall, and you know,
an innovator,
yeah,
man.
but
That dude's killed it.
he's the
Man.
man.
Everything he's done is so freaking cool.
Yeah, and he's doing all the stuff for the kids now.
Dude,
so if you
incredible,
RadShare.
So
go find some RadShare stuff. Buy a T-shirt.
Support. Get some kids on bikes. Get some helmets on the kids.
I know Empire and like Burnslow. We've tried to do a bunch of stuff with them, and like you know, I haven't done as much. I keep saying that I want to come out to his jam and like ride some bikes, and so maybe next year.
Yeah,
maybe I'll bring the DJ.
Dude, nothing's better than like seeing a kid's face light up than when you get like I work with a nonprofit back home quite a bit, and we travel all over the country donating bikes, similar kind of thing to RadShare, and like I always say, I'm like the first like sense of freedom I ever got was like riding away on my bike from my parents, and like seeing a kid be in a spot to maybe never get to experience that. It's like freaking heartbreaking, dude.
It is.
Like, being able to support organizations.
I said this the other day. Like I've always been very lucky. I've had one bike stolen ever. I've had two actually, but one was stolen out of someone else's possession that they were borrowing from me. So I've had one bike stolen, and it was all in the last year and a half.
Damn.
Whatever. And I said to someone the other day, like the worst part about it getting stolen was one, that I'm dumb and left the garage open. Two, that it probably didn't go to a BMXer. Yep. And it's like, I want those bikes. Yes, baby.
Grandma's small toys.
Where are they?
They're in the car.
Okay, can I get them when I'm done?
Okay.
All right, give me Nux. Is Devin here?
Yes.
Are you hanging out with Devin and Adam?
Yes.
Did you show him Max and the Grinch? Or the shark and the Grinch? Go show Devin the Grinch. Devin Hutchins is now here.
Just walked in. What's up, dude?
You got to show your face.
Rude. Too nervous, man.
Yeah.
Too shy.
You got to interview Devin.
I know.
You should have Devin and Adam on at once.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
They went to high school together?
No way.
Yeah, they both went with my wife.
No. What? Yeah. Here?
Yeah. All Westlake. They'd say it's the best lake.
Wow.
Well, because there's Lake Travis. It's outside Boston.
Yeah.
Bunch of pretty rival football schools.
That's amazing.
Dude, okay.
What a small world.
Let me give these guys a little props. Okay. Devin and Adam went to high school together, just not too far from here. They had a Westlake bicycle club. They had a float in a jam. They built a mini ramp on and were in the school parade. Wow. These guys have been BMXing forever. Devin learned how to shoot BMX photos in a film class in high school and had photos, printed, has photos of Chase he shot while he was in school.
Dude.
You got to do both of them though.
Yeah.
Because they just have.
They kind of riff off of each other.
Well, just like they literally went to high school together, and like Westlake Bike Club, like literally in the yearbook with like a mini ramp on the float.
Dude, how legendary.
Yeah. Like, and so I get to Austin, they're my friends. And like years later, meet my wife's sister. And she's like, you should meet my sister. Or so, yeah. And then here we are. And like, she was like, oh, I know Devin and those guys.
Wow.
Like, like they weren't in the same grade. They're one grade apart, but like they went to the same school.
It's so crazy how small the world is.
I know, it's
like
crazy.
It all, like I always say, it's like it keeps you so honest because it just keeps getting smaller and smaller like that. That's crazy.
But they'd be good just because like they do have so much history of like the club and the stories and like the ratty or that ratty house like down on Barn Hills, just like the craziness that the people who come through these BMX houses, like the people who lived on the like ground and lived in the sofas, lived like just like these dudes are in it. They were before me by a couple of years. I kind of started showing up around that time, but just like the photos and the stories and the things that like Crandall would like sleep on this house. That was the house where the fire is in the middle of the living room.
Yeah.
That's Devin and Adam's house.
No way.
Yeah. That was like they're doing the burnouts around. That's here. It's in Austin. So anyways, it's just like,
I'm excited to get those. Adam's definitely doing one. We'll see if Devin sits down.
Devin's doing it.
Yeah,
he's doing it.
We'll try and force him
into
it.
Just tell him to put his Kanye mask on.
There you go.
We had some new Burnslow masks. They can just both
the
put
Kanye
on.
style, the pull over the face.
We're not going to shout out Kanye, but the mask.
Let's go, dude. Yeah. We'll get him on here.
I like it.
So talking about like moving to Austin, and we'll wrap up here soon. I know you got to get to it, but you've traveled all over the world, 30 plus countries at this point, correct?
Yes.
What is your favorite place that you've traveled to?
Oh man. I get asked this a lot. It's hard because it's like BMX trips, any trips, I guess, but like they're great because of who you're with. And so like I loved our Thailand trip, but it was the crew and the people.
Is that the one that you were on with Gary?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Chris Doyle,
Chris Doyle,
Kaczynski, Walter. And it was like, that was unreal. But then I could say the same thing about like our India trip. Like that was the most eye-opening, unbelievable, insane experience. And it's like, so it's hard. Like I love Estonia.
Yeah.
I love some place. I love Paris.
Hard to pick
I love
just
Paris.
one moment.
I love Paris so much. I love Amsterdam. So it's hard. It's like, I've been to so many weird places and done so many weird things and getting a little older. So forgetting some of the stuff, which is a bummer, but luckily like I was fortunate to travel with Walter for so long. He documented everything so well. Like I do have magazines and videos and I can like find the reminders, but forget there's stuff I'm like, I went to Brazil.
It happened. I don't
12
know.
years ago and I have no idea what happened.
How about like the most uncomfortable moment
Oh,
during those travels? You got one of those?
man. Most uncomfortable. Probably some stuff in India, not uncomfortable. Like it was just like eye opening.
Yeah.
The India stuff was gnarly. We saw like, some really unfortunate situations like for other people that live there. And just like the world was so different. And like, there was times we rode a couple miles and like such a bad situation. And then you'd like turn a corner and you're at like a Hilton. And we like, there was one day I remember, I'll never forget. We went inside the gates of the Hilton just because they let us in. Cause we like obviously looked like we could afford this.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we'll come in. We're stacking our bikes. And we just all sat inside like this in silence.
Oh,
Because of what we just saw and everything. It was like so gnarly. Look, dude, it's VIP. It's like
dude, everybody's just rolling
MVP
in.
here. Get in here. You gotta say hi. Come on. No, come on. It's too late. I can't.
I want to say hi.
You can say hi. Come here, pup. Give me a hug. Okay, you don't have to say hi. Just give me a hug. Look who it is.
What's up, people?
Dude, see, Austin is stacked.
Dude, so many people rolling
he's
through.
pretty good, but like, there's some guy.
It's all right.
He's been wearing that hat for a couple days.
I've been switching in and out.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to be hardcore. He's like a mechanic now.
I love it, dude.
What are you doing? They're in there. They're in there. Honey's in there too. Anyways, I don't even know where we at. So that was pretty. I just still can remember the feeling of what I felt, just being like, dude, I am like
Just in the gut, I'm sure.
I'm just like the luckiest person in the world, and like you wouldn't even at that time, no one would consider me like lucky, like just a dude,
Just very perspective
and
giving,
just like,
man.
dude, this place is gnarly. Like even the night we were like, this is how gnarly it was. We get there and typically you're like, oh, we get to all these trips. We've been all over the world at this point. We've been to all these crazy countries and we get to this place and we're in a bad part of town in India. And usually we're trying to, scrape by, make it happen. And you're like, oh, we're in London, but we're in the ghetto, but we're here. And then you're like in the nice, you're like, damn, this is nice. In India, it took like 2 days, 3 days maybe. And I was like, we're in the nicest part of town.
Wow.
I mean, outside of like the Hilton or like those crazy like buildings. And it took us, even all of us, we had no idea. We were just like, oh, this is gnarly. Okay, like it's cheap though. I get it. Like we're good. It's like a hostel area. You get it. And then you're like, come back one night and you're just I'll say this, every day we came back, like I think we were there 12 or 14 days. Every day we came back, it was just silent. We're just all like, you'd have to decompress for like minutes, like hours, and like, you're just sort of like, okay, like that was wild. And just like, what's different here? And like,
What was it like coming home from that? Same kind of thing? Were you like
just always
shell shocked?
I just felt a lot more love for my life and like for like what I was, my family and like what we have and like things like that. Like I just remember being like so grateful for like bike riding and like what I have and like on the littlest level of things. Like I can just like the house I came home to is like unbelievable in comparison to like what was happening. And like I think that was just something where like, damn, like we're so lucky.
Yeah.
And like I know that there's some people that aren't as lucky in this country as well as other countries, but even our worst part of this town is not even comparable.
I think that kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier is like, everybody has hard days, but like it's hard to have perspective on like what's going on the other side of the world and like understanding that there's still things to be grateful for, even if you're having a really hard time, like being here where we live in America is like pretty special, man. It's pretty bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of places, England, like they're all great.
Yeah.
All these places are great. And like the perspective from there to the others is different. It's just like, that one was gnarly.
Yeah.
Like we just saw some stuff and it was just like, I've never been somewhere like, dude, that was so sick, your trick. It was like, did we ride today?
Should we even ride our bikes?
Yeah, literally. You'd be like, should we just like leave them here? Like this seemed like it was, but But you did bring a lot of joy to people. That was a great thing. It was like, we're riding, you'd have crowds of like 200
People
and like,
never seen anything
and
like
like
it.
they were so happy. And like Dugan's there, he's like wilding out with his long hair, and they're like, dudes are just staring at him. They've never seen a guy with long hair like this. He's shirtless,
Trying
he's
to take
losing
pictures, I'm sure.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I'll never forget some of that stuff.
Heck yeah,
So
that's amazing. Well, as we move into wrapping it up, I know that you're a car dude, so selfish question, like, what is a dream car for you to own?
Oh man. I think I would, off the top of my head, there's a bunch. I'm fortunate to have a handful of cool cars. I have some of my own, some I share with people. And I think the one that has always, every time I've seen it in person, the one I'm in the most awe of, and that probably will never own. I just love the Ford GT, like the Ford, like that GT40.
Like the 2006?
No, like the 1970s.
The original.
Yeah,
okay.
or the 2006. Like the new one's cool,
Yeah.
but it's like a supercar. It's like crazy. I'm not like a super car fan.
Yeah.
But I think the like 70s or whatever version. I have a friend that has one of them, and then a friend that has the 2006 in Austin. And I've seen a couple around, things like replicas and all, like, but the replicas are good. Like it's like a
They're insane.
$500,000 replica. It's like not. Yes, honey. Are you struggling? Is it time for me to be done?
Can you finish?
Yes, I'll finish. Can you give me 5 more minutes? Okay. I love you.
The boss is calling.
I love you. I think that car seems, multiple reasons. It seems really impossible to get and ever own. I think I'll say this: those two, Lamborghini Countach and that, both about the same vibe. But there was one day in Austin, a guy had an insane replica. Like he paid like $15,000 just to have Michelin or whoever, Goodyear, remake the original tire
From
like
the Countach?
No,
Or
from the
GT40,
GT, the big wide one. He like paid for the mold to get brought out, and you have to buy X amount of tires for them to do it. So you have to buy like 100 sets or something crazy.
Wow.
And so he this guy was loaded, but he bought like, that'd be more than 50. Basically he had to buy 100 sets. And he didn't get them. He just got like 10 and like said, don't worry about it. Just like whatever. That's the only way they do it. And he took him years to get these tires, but the car was so perfect. And I had like the little dip on the top for the helmet. And I was just like, I love cars, but that thing was like, that was just amazing. And then you see the Ford versus Ferrari video and you're just like, okay, this car's sick. And so, and the Countach, I mean, I'd say 911's in there, but I'm fortunate to own one. So I feel pretty good about that one. But the Countach seems unattainable too. I mean, I'm also someone who's, if you handed me $100 million, it'd be really hard for me to buy those cars anyways. Yeah. It just doesn't seem like the best thing to do with, $500,000 or $700,000 or $1 million.
And the hard part about the cars like that is they kind of just sit because you can't drive them anywhere.
There's a guy in Austin that has a white Countach. I'll send you his thing. Drives it every day.
Oh, really? I love that.
He's
that's a hard car to drive.
Made money. He's younger. He made money. Like he's my age, but like younger and like literally drives it hard. Wow. Like he's the coolest because of that. Yeah. He bought a $500,000 to $700,000 car and he drives it daily. And he's like, dude, it's my dream car as a child. I made some money and some, whatever he made money in. That's
awesome.
And he, like even Jim Bauer and I are like, people are like, dude, he drives it. Like even Jim is we're drive your car people. And we're like, you can stop driving the Countach. He's easily
running
put
through its paces,
thousands of miles on it.
That's awesome.
But he's also has the money to do so. And I think maybe I'm also just like, if you're never going to sell it, then drive the hell out. Drive it.
Run it into the ground, man.
And if you can afford to fix that door ding, drive it. Yeah. But don't buy it. Pet peeve. Don't buy a Ferrari and get mad when someone hits your door.
Totally.
You can afford $300,000 Ferrari.
Yeah. Door ding ain't nothing.
Don't get mad at the person that's getting out of like a Hyundai because they hit you. Like, dude, come on.
Yeah. Small fish, man. Yeah. Well, next time you're in Boulder, Colorado, there's an awesome Shelby Museum.
Okay.
That has a ton of like original GT40 Le Mans winning GT40s. It's like literally there's like probably close to $1 billion worth of cars in there, and they're insane, dude. Oh. A bunch of like Carroll Shelby original cars, like really cool stuff.
Oh, I'll say this. So the guy that has those cars, I think he has. I don't know if he has the original 70s one, but he might have a replica. But he definitely has 2 of the 2006 ones. Or red one and blue, I believe. And then he has 2 of the newest ones. And he's my age. Randomly was remodeling his house. Him and his family were remodeling their house. Moved in next door to us. We live like 6 houses from here.
No way.
And he moves in. And I'm like, he has 2 Porsches out front. And I'm like I'm like outside. I'm talking to everyone. And his wife's like, I'm like, oh, cool. You have matching cars. Cool. And she's like, oh yeah, my husband's kind of like a Ford guy. And I'm like caught off guard. He's already had a BMW out front, like an M3, like a super sick, like early 2000 M3. And I'm like, there's 2 Porsches and an M3, and you're telling me your husband's a Ford guy.
Like, what kind of Ford guy is he?
And I'm like, Mustangs.
Yeah.
Of course. Like, okay, cool. Like Mustangs. And she's like, yeah, he's a Ford guy. She kind of giggled. And I'm like, whatever. You know, there's not a bad, which is like, this is so weird, but whatever. So a few days later, I have the Porsche out. I'm like just moving stuff around. He hears it. He comes outside. We start talking. And he's like, I said, oh, your wife says you're a Ford guy. I'm just confused. You have like this BMW. You have this and this and this. And he's like, oh, yeah, like I'm kind of a Ford guy, but like this kind of Ford. And he just shows me photos of like the Ford GT matte, like the crazy, like the brand new ones, like the Le Mans cars.
Yeah.
And like all this stuff, like insane. Like he has the Ford car from the G Unit or, you know, whatever, what's his name? 50 Cent music video when he's sitting on that Ford, the Saline.
Oh, no way.
He has that car. He has like, it's insane.
That's unreal.
So we're just talking. I'm like, you look so familiar. And he's like, oh yeah, I know who you are. You're Aaron. We grew up racing BMX in San Antonio. I'm in Corpus. He's in San Antonio. And I'm like,
world, man.
Basically, BMX is huge. And the older that I get and the less I'm like just a BMXer is the more I realize BMX is huge. And more people than you thought have been in skateboarding and BMX or into action sports. And it's like, the world is like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I meet people like, oh yeah, like I rode BMX. I remember you.
Well, cool.
This was great.
And
I don't even know if, the only thing I'll say, I hope we finish comments because Adam always gives me a hard time that I don't do a good job of finishing the topics that I'm on.
Yeah.
So we'll find out at some point if I finish.
I think it was great. Yeah. I had a bunch of stuff, but like, yeah,
What else you got? Let's get one more.
Well, I would
Hit me with your favorite.
I would like to ask you if you could go back and give your 18-year-old self any advice, what would it be?
I don't think I'd change anything.
Sweet.
I think I love everything. And I like, there's things I would probably do a little different, but I learned from them. I wouldn't change anything.
Amazing, dude. Yeah. I love that. Well, any final motivating words for the people listening?
Kind of like what you said. Like, I think just get out there, have fun, find something you love, chase it, don't stop. And like, maybe it pivots you, maybe it changes something, but you learn from everything. And like, if you have an idea, you might not end up with the exact idea, but you might end up over here doing something completely different, but this guy you started. And I think that's okay. It's okay to fail. It's okay to try and try and try. It's okay. I've told every one of my friends, I'm doing this 100 times. Well, here we are 15 years later. And like some of those have worked out. And now you hear friends are like, damn, you really did do it. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't know which one, but I was going to never stop. And, you know, I found a good partner that could help and we worked together well. And she's more extra than I am when it comes to some things. So it's like, you just got to find a teammate that you can like push and push and push. So
hell yeah, man. Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you for the time. I know
you're
a busy dude.
VIP. You got Devin Hutchins, you got Adam, Honey James, you got Julian.
So many people rolling through. This was amazing. We'll have to track all those dudes down and get them on here too. So, well, heck yeah, dude. I endlessly appreciate it.
I'm coming to Colorado to see these cars.
Dude, please. I know the curator of the museum will get you in there.
I'm ready.
Let's go, dude. Well, get back to work out there, dude.
I know I'm out of here. Let's do this.